joining me here today. We're going to talk about how to set yourself apart from the other agents to win the listing. Something that I did not understand. I did not know how to do this earlier in my career. So we'll talk about some of the mistakes that we make. It's pretty easy to do this if you follow my advice here today. So check in, let us know what city, what marketplace you're in. We have a lot of referrals here in Craig Proctor Nation, so let us know that you're with us here. Again, our topic today is how to set yourself apart from other real estate agents to help you win the listing. You know, in the beginning, I think my approach was just trying to get the seller to like me. You know, I didn't understand what I was doing. I really didn't have a presentation, so to speak. I guess it was called the wing it presentation because, you know, whatever popped out of my mouth, that's what I would go with. How many of you are using the wing it presentation, right? Where you show up and you kind of, you know, you don't want to be scripted and you kind of just say what's ever on the top of your head. Look, that presentation, the wing it presentation, I'll give you this. It is very exciting because you never know what the hell you're going to say. But unfortunately, it's not very effective. So there is a best way to do this presentation. There is a best way to present how you're different and better than the other agents. Now, let me say this. Sometimes it's easier just to be different than it is to be better. You know, I'm going to give you some examples of some of the things that I did, how I presented myself. So in the seller's eyes, they're like, okay, well, that's different. Okay, so sometimes it's easier to be different than to be better. We have to understand this. Every seller we meet with is either asking us outright or they're at least thinking, what's in it for me? You know, what's in it for me? WIFM is the radio station they're listening to. What's in it for me to list my home with this agent versus the other agents we may be interviewing. And let me say this, today, it's really important that you get your unique differences, that your benefits are available online, because the way the seller is picking the agent, it's done online today, okay? Not so much at the kitchen table. The battle for who the seller is going to list their home with is done online when they Google you, what they see about you online. So we're going to teach you how to do presentations. We're basically getting people in your area to know you, to like you, and you can effectively set yourself apart using the advice that I give you here today. Okay, so I'm going to share with you how I did it. Some of you may know my story. I was the #1 RE/MAX agent in the entire world within 36 months of having my license. It's pretty cool, right? So within 36 months having my license, I go from as dumb as a pile of rocks, don't know what I'm doing, to making millions of dollars a year, to being the top agent in the world for RE/MAX. That's how I got into coaching. I got a lot of notoriety from that. But I learned some lessons that I want to share with you today. So again, if you joined us a little bit late, make sure you check in. And if you like this, make sure you smash the like button. But we are talking about how to separate yourself, how to set yourself apart from all the other agents to win the listing. Okay, the mistake that most agents make is they talk a lot about themselves. Okay, they talk a lot about themselves, they talk a lot about their company, and it's very important that we be talking about what's important to the seller. So what I want you to do is I want you to do a bit of a discovery. What do I mean by discovery? You're going to ask them a series of questions when you first meet up with them at their home about you know, why they're moving, obviously when they need to be there. You want to know their timing and motivation. But if they're interviewing agents, you want to make sure you ask, so what's important to you? You know, you're interviewing agents, what are the most important things? I'll give you an example. Earlier in my career, dumb, right? I didn't do that. I might talk about open houses or something for 20 minutes, and at the end of the presentation, the seller would say, well, I hate open houses. Well, that was really stupid, right? So I would want to find out what's important to them, and then I'm going to structure my presentation around the things that are most important to the seller, right? So tell them how they should be sold. Another thing that I became really good at was reading their personality. A lot of you are familiar with DISC personality, DISC, D-I-S-C. So there's 4 major personality types. And we're all a mixture of these four personality types, but you're going to have a dominant personality, either you're D, I, S, or C. And basically the mistake we make in sales is we sell other people the way that we want to be sold. So we think that everyone's like us. So if I was meeting with like an accountant or an engineer or someone that's really detailed, that's not my personality type. So I might hit the high points, but they want more details. So I had to learn to provide more information and to go at a slower pace. And instead of trying to close them at the end, because we know they want to think about it, you know, the personality type I'm talking about, the people that you're there for an hour and a half, and they're like, yeah, I need to think about it. Understand that's who they are. Okay, and if you try to close them because that's not the way you make decisions, you might make decisions very quickly, you're going to blow the sale. How many of you would agree you could be the best agent and you could have the best benefits, the best track record, but if the seller doesn't like you, if you rub them the wrong way, they are not going to do business with you. So I had to learn how to read their personality. So it's not just exactly what I was saying, it's how I was presenting to them was customized based on their personality type. Now, I want to get into 3 different ways in your presentation that you can set yourself apart. And these are 3 things that I teach my high-end coaching members that I'm giving you here for free. So again, if you like this, make sure you smash the like button, give me a thumbs up if you like what we're sharing here today. The first thing I want you to consider is what unique services do you offer that other agents don't offer? Okay, I'm going to give you some examples of some unique services that I offered that the other real estate agents didn't offer. So understand, if you're just talking about the same things, we stick a sign on your lawn, MLS, we do all the traditional things, you're going to sound the same. So on one hand, you're like, yeah, I'm different, I'm better, but then what you talk about is exactly the same thing as all the other agents. So what unique services can you offer? Okay, so here's one example. This is called my buyers in waiting service, my buyers in waiting service. So I would do some research before I met with the seller, and I would print out from my CRM how many buyers I currently had in my CRM that were looking for a home in that price range and in that neighborhood. So let's say it's in the northeast part of town, and I've got 73 buyers that are in my CRM that are looking in the northeast part of town. Okay, so here's what I do. I print this out. So imagine I've got 8 pages of buyers. And it tells me, it says the buyer's name and how long I've been sending them houses. And I hand this printout to the seller. And I say, I did a bit of research before we met here today, Mr. and Mrs. Seller. And I have 73 buyers in my database right now that are looking for a home in your neighborhood in your price range. So should you decide to list your home with me, the very first thing that I would do is I would email pictures and detailed information on your house out to my 73 buyers. Sometimes I get a hit right away. Sometimes I get multiple offers. I know it sounds a little crazy. I love that. I know it sounds a little crazy, but it's almost like I've been looking for a buyer for your home before you and I even met today. Now, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, you mentioned that you were speaking to a couple of other realtors. Did the other realtors you meet with, did they talk to you about how many buyers they currently are working with that might be good for your house? Pause. And the sellers would be looking at my list of buyers, and they'd be, if it's a husband and wife, they'd be looking at each other. It's like, this guy's got a lot of buyers. And here's what they would say. Remember, the question was, you interviewed other agents, right? Did the other agents, did they talk to you about how many buyers they currently have for your home? And the answer was always no. All the other agents wanted to talk about is, should we list with them what they would start to do, what they would begin to do to find a buyer for our home? Booyah, I got them right there. Because what have I positioned? I positioned that Craig is the agent with the buyers, but I got them to come to that conclusion. Did everybody get it? Write this down. This is a write it down. It's way more important if you let the prospect come to their own conclusion rather than you telling them the conclusion. Because I could have said this, right? I could have said, I have more buyers than the other agents. Not believable, right? The printout, show them the printout, let them, like, print it out. Don't have it on your phone or your laptop. Print it out, stapled in the top left-hand corner, let them look at it. And they're looking through this list going, wow, that's a lot of buyers. I'm going to repeat it again to make sure you guys have this. It's really good, isn't it? Hey, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, in preparation for our meeting tonight, I did a search in my CRM, and I have 73 buyers that are looking for your neighborhood in your price range. And should you decide to list your home with me, the very first thing that I would do is I would email pictures and detailed information about your home out to the 73 buyers that I have. And sometimes, guess what? I get a hit right away. Boom, your house is sold. Sometimes I get multiple buyers, multiple offers. I know it sounds kind of crazy, but it's almost like I've been looking for a buyer for your home before you and I even met tonight. Pause. And they're sitting there looking through the buyers, right? The list of buyers. By the way, you mentioned you were interviewing a couple of other realtors. Did the other two realtors you meet with, did they talk to you about how many buyers they had for your home? Pause. That's good, right? I don't have to ask you. That's good. That made me millions of dollars, this language, this script. Okay, so that is an example of a unique service. Here's number 2. Open houses. The definition of an open house is usually somewhere where you and I go and nobody else does. I mean, that's an exaggeration, right? That the market, it's probably not true, but we've all had open houses like that, right? It's a total waste of your time. You blew off your family. You're sitting there from 1 to 4 in the afternoon on a Sunday, watching TV, and nothing happens. And then you feel really bad, right? Because the seller comes home and they made cookies and they cleaned their house. And then they ask you, how did the open house go? And you feel bad because you realize it didn't help at all. It was just something that you did to placate the seller, to show them that, well, I'm going to do something. Look, rather than do something to placate the seller that doesn't really help get their home sold, here's what I did. This is another example of a unique service. So the buyers in waiting program, write that down, buyers in waiting program, unique. Okay, that's a unique service Craig Proctor got that they don't got. Okay, number 2. Ask them if they like open houses, first of all. If they say, I don't want an open houses suck, do not talk about what I'm going to talk about now, right? That's what I had to learn when I first got into real estate. I'd talk about stuff because I wanted to talk about it, and it was of zero interest to them. Dumb, right? Remember, I'm telling you, when I got into real estate, I knew nothing. I had to learn all of this. I made a lot of dumb mistakes. My purpose here today is to help you, prevent you from making the same dumb mistakes I made. But I can learn, right? I can learn. So I did it wrong until I started doing it right. So, do you like open houses? Did the other agents you interviewed talk about open houses? Oh yeah, Craig, they talked about open houses. They want to kick us out for 3 hours every Saturday and Sunday and do open houses. So I showed them stats. Here's the national stats. From NAR, less than 1% of homes that sold last year sold as a result of a traditional open house. So I'm not here to say it ain't going to work. I'm just going to say 99% chance that open house where they kick you out of your house for 3 hours on the weekends, not going to get your house sold. Here's what we do instead. Unique service. Here's what we do instead. I'm going to do a tour of homes where we're going to open 6 houses in your area, okay, in your neighborhood. Each house on purpose is going to be open for 10 minutes only. They're like, well, how are you going to sell my house in 10 minutes? I'm not going to sell your home in 10 minutes, but we're going to, because we have 6 houses open, we're going to drive all the buyers to each house at a very specific 10-minute window. Here's how this works. Your house is going to be up to bat number 1. You're going to be open from 1 to 1:10. And then the next house will be open from 15 minutes travel time because there's only me. I got to get between the houses. The next house will be open from 1:25 to 1:35. Now, here's the cool thing, because I got 6 houses open. By the way, they don't have to be your listings. You can borrow the best listings from the other agents in town, right? It's like, don't get stuck in an old paradigm. So I borrow these listings. I ain't got any listings. I borrow listings. The first house Because I have 6 houses open, I get 6 times as many buyers coming at exactly the same time between a 1 and 110. Now, here's the other thing. I insist that the seller be present because I'm not kicking them out of the house for 4 hours. It's only for 10 minutes, so I want them to be present. So the seller is sitting there, husband and wife are sitting there, and they see me bring 15 or 20 buyers through between 1 and 110, all at the same time. Imagine if you were one of those buyers. You're one of those buyers, you're there, you're like, holy God, there's like 10, 15 other buyers there, and you like this house. Let me know in the comments if you like the house. Psychologically, what impact would that have if you came to my Sunday tour of homes and you look around, there's 15 other buyers there? Okay, it creates some urgency, it's some demand. This is what your seller's paying you for. Not to sit on a couch for 4 hours, eating their cookies, watching football, okay? This is called marketing. Okay, so we drive all the traffic to their house at exactly the same time. Now, at the end of the 10 minutes, here's the crazy thing. I got to kick them out. People are still there and they're interested. Sorry, got to go, got to keep the tour on schedule. They're not used to a real estate agent kicking them out of the house. If they're interested, I'll bring them back for a second private or personal showing later that day. Now, here's the other thing. If the house doesn't sell after a couple weeks and I brought 75 people through the home, it helps me, it's easy for me to get what? A price reduction. Remember, the seller's been present every single week. They're seeing me bring 15 or 20 people through their home. I can say to the seller, sorry, you saw it with your own eyeballs. I did my job. I brought people through. Unfortunately, the buyers are not interested in your home at this price. Helps me get a price reduction. Okay, those are 2 quick examples of unique services. You got to like this stuff, guys. Smash the like button. Let me know in the comments below. If you haven't checked in already, let me know the city, the state, or city and province, where you're from. Check in with us now. This is free advice, guys. I made millions of dollars selling real estate. This presentation doesn't cost me anything to do. Doesn't cost you anything to watch. But if you implement some of this stuff, you will start to set yourself apart from other real estate agents. Okay, those were a couple of examples of unique services. Next, I want to get into guarantees that you can make sellers, guarantees that will also set you apart from the other agents. And then the last thing I'm going to talk about is how you can use your statistics or your company statistics to set yourself apart. So at the end of the presentation, who they're going to list with? You. It's a no-brainer. If at the end of your presentation, if you've got to be a closer, if you've got to be an arm twister, a closer, if you have to handle all kinds of objections, here's what that tells me. Your presentation, it's not strong enough. If you're losing listings, or at the end of it, they're like, well, I think your commission's too high, or they don't believe your opinion on price, that means you haven't built credibility. You haven't built trust. You haven't built exclusivity into this. The natural thing that should happen at the end of an awesome listing presentation is the seller says to you, where do I sign? If that's not happening, we got to go to work on the presentation. That's the job of the presentation, to build credibility, trust, authority. So at the end of it, they're like, let's do this. Your fee is not a big deal when you've done this properly. Okay. Getting them to take your opinion on price. When they don't believe your opinion on price, they don't believe you, right? It means that your presentation didn't build massive credibility. It'd be like if you went to the best, heart surgeon in the world, you wouldn't be questioning their authority if they said, well, I think you need this operation. No, this person has credibility, right? They're the top rated doctor or surgeon in the world. That's what you need to do with your presentation. So I teach this. Now, I did over 10,000 presentations. Remember, I was the #1 agent in the entire world for RE/MAX. No RE/MAX agent made more money than Craig Proctor. Now, here's the other cool thing. I know how to teach you how to do it. Because you're like, I don't care how successful Craig. What you should care about is it's transferable. Okay, look, folks, if I can do this, you can do this. Who was I? I dropped out of college. I dropped out of university. I was failing at everything. I got into real estate and I was failing the first year at that too. Why? Because I did what everyone else was doing. If you are looking around at what the other agents are doing what your broker, doing what, You have to learn from someone who's successful. Somebody who is broke cannot teach you how to be wealthy, right? Someone that's never played golf cannot show you how to be an excellent golfer. This is what makes me unique. I have a system here. I coach you on a system. You're like, well, what's the system? The system is a couple things: lead generation, conversion, presentation systems, how to recruit, hire, train in your team. That's pretty much what I talk about. For those of you that want to have a consultation with me, it costs $0. $0. If someone could type in proctormeeting.com. Proctor Meeting, if you type that in, Proctor Meeting, no space, proctormeeting.com, you can book a call with my team and I. Okay, we'll help you. It's not a big sales pitch. Of course, at the end of our conversation, I would love it if you wanted to go further with us, but it all starts with a conversation. Here's how I work. Right now, would you agree I've covered some good information? And we got more here, so don't go anywhere. This is free. When you jump on the call with me, we're going to get into a lot more details because I can ask you questions about your business. See, I have to be kind of generic here because I don't know you or your situation, but when we jump on a call, it'll be a Zoom meeting. I'll ask you a bunch of questions, and you know where you are right now, and you also know where you want to go. So let's say you're selling 20 houses a year, but your goal is to sell 50. All right, so just so you're prepared, I'm going to say, well, why are you not already selling 50? You're doing 20, you know you want to do 50, and you're going to tell me you don't know how to do it or all the reasons why. We're going to troubleshoot that for you. If nothing else happens, at a minimum, I'm going to show you a better way for you to get to where you are right now to the goal that you have, okay? You can leverage off my 30 years of experience. Okay, let's get back on our topic here. So you book a call with me, $0, a free call, proctormeeting.com. Go to my Acuity Day Timer. All right, we're back on this listing presentation. There's a structure to this. Now, when I had this drilled down, this presentation, I said the same thing in pretty much the same order over and over again, and I tailored it a little bit based on their personality. How many of you believe, let me know in the comments below, you believe there's probably a best way? There's probably a best buyer presentation. There's probably a best listing presentation. There's best practices. Well, that's what I had to find, because in the beginning, I sucked. In the beginning, it was random. It's like, I don't know, whatever comes off the top of my head. Sometimes I would say this, sometimes I would say that. But I realized that some of the things that I said worked better than others. Now, I might be a bit slow, but eventually I started to put the right things in the right order. And I kept tweaking with this listing presentation until I couldn't make it any better. It got better, it got better, it got better. Now, this is what I teach you. I give you the presentation system. I've created more millionaire agents than any other coach or trainer because it is a system. This isn't about Craig. This is about plugging a system into your business and teaching you how to use the system. So, my coaching's not about motivation or rah-rah or accountability. Did you make your 200 calls? No, it's not about that. I coach you on the system. Okay, so let's get back to the presentation. Next, we're going to talk about guarantees. A very simple thing you can do at the end of your presentation, if they're not ready to sign up with you, if they say to you, well, we need to think about this, that's usually code for pick up your stuff and leave the house. Okay, because they're not thinking about it. They're not sitting around going, they've done all the thinking they're going to do. So if you get to the end of the presentation and they're not ready to sign, what you want to pull out of your briefcase is your cancellation guarantee. Now, you're going to say this to the seller, exactly like this. You're going to say, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, this cancellation guarantee is a very important document. You can see this as an unconditional guarantee. What that means is if you're not happy with me at any time, you can cancel the listing and list with somebody else or do whatever you want to do. Okay, so I cannot be one of these real estate agents that comes into your house and I sound really good today and I make all kinds of promises, but then I don't follow through. I got to be good today to get your business, but I've got to be good every single day going forward to keep your business. That cancellation guarantee was not used on every presentation. Let me be clear about this. in 80% of the cases, the seller was like, let's do this. Craig, you're really passionate about what you do. I love what you're doing here. Let's list the house. In other words, they were ready to sign up, and I didn't need to go there. So I want to be clear on this, because what some of you will hear is, oh, you use the cancellation on every occasion. No, don't do that. Only use the cancellation agreement sparingly. You're going to use it when you need it. So only in the situations where at the 1 in 10 or the 2 in 10, that if you've got this great presentation, they still won't sign, that's where you're going to use it. And that usually will tip some of them over the edge, right? Because you've removed any risk. People don't like risk, right? So the more that we can do to lessen the risk, lower the risk, or eliminate the risk, or reverse the risk. So for example, my guaranteed sale program, right? If you move up to any one of my listings, I'll buy your home for cash. That is risk reversal. If I can't sell it, I'll buy it. Now, some of you might be a little bit nervous, hearing that. You might think, well, Craig Proctor must have got stuck with all kinds of homes. No, I only bought 2 homes in my entire career, and that's because I made small mistakes. Well, I can tell you, one of the mistakes was the first house I bought, I never looked at, and it was in downtown Toronto where I'd never sold a house before. Again, dumb, right? You only do these guarantees in an area or neighborhood where you really know the marketplace like the back of your hand. So we teach you guarantees at different levels. Here's another guarantee. You say to a seller, I guarantee to have an offer on your home in under 30 days, or when it does sell, I'll reduce my commission by $1,000. This gives you an opportunity to negotiate your full commission, because if I get the job done at a price acceptable to you within 30 days, we can argue I deserve my full commission. However, and the condition is they have to list their home at your recommended price, right? They can't list it at pie in the sky, but if they want the guarantee, usually they want it more than you want to give it. So you've got a bit of leverage to get them priced right. They want $1.05 million and the house is worth $1 million. I can give you the guarantee if we list it at $1 million. Now, we have many, many different guarantees for sellers and buyers. Here's one for buyers. So what if you said this to a buyer? And this will depend on your price range, but let's just say the average price range in your area, I don't know, was $1 million, which may not be the case, but let's say it's $1 million. You would say to the buyer, I guarantee, this is our $10,000 cash savings guarantee, where I guarantee to negotiate at least $10,000 or $20,000, whatever you decide, it's your program. I guarantee to save you at least $10,000 off the asking price of any home that you purchase using my services, or on closing, I'll pay you $1,000 cash. That is way better than saying, oh, I'm a good negotiator. All the real estate agents say they're a good negotiator. Do you think some of your competitors are saying, well, actually, I'm not very good? I'm kind of a bad negotiator? No, everyone says they're a good negotiator. You're saying, not only am I saying I'm a good negotiator, I give you an upfront guarantee in writing that if you use me, that means sign a buyer agency agreement, commit to you, I guarantee to save you X amount. You fill in the blank. What's the biggest promise you can make and keep? I promise to save you X amount off the asking price of any home you purchase using our services. And if I fail to do that, I'll deduct $1,000. So what's the worst? Like in this example, let's say a buyer comes to me, a total stranger. They weren't going to do business with me, but I gave them this guarantee and they were intrigued by that. The other agents aren't guaranteeing to save you X amount of dollars. So in this case, I guaranteed to save the buyer at least $10,000 off the price of any home that they purchase. What if I only save them $9,000? Well, on $1 million home, I'm making $29,000 instead of $30,000 from a total stranger that wouldn't have called me had I not offered the guarantee. Some of you are like, oh man, I'd have to give up $1,000. No, you're up $29,000. The cup is half full. So we have all of these unique services that we can teach you, and we've got unique guarantees. Now, when you get this up and going, here's what happens. You get more sellers coming to you, and you get to pick and choose who you want to work with. If that was true, let's just say that was true for you, that you got to pick and choose who you were going to work with. You had so many sellers. Obviously, you're not going to decide to work with someone that's not motivated. You're not going to work with somebody that fights you or lies to you or is difficult to work with. So when you get to choose to work with great sellers who are motivated and will do things your way, what happens is your statistics improve. What that means is they take your advice on price, so their homes sell faster and they sell for closer to or over the asking price. Well, guess what? Now you've got superior statistics than the real estate board average. So if my listings on average sell for 98% of the seller's asking price, and the real estate board average, the average agent, is selling their listings at 96% of the asking price, therefore my homes sell for 2% more. I know we could argue the math on that, but I have a big bar graph. And by the way, my bar graph is not proportional. So then imagine it's like they say a picture says 1,000 words. So my bar graph, the 98% is huge and the 96% is way down here. It doesn't have to be proportional. I'm here to make a point. 2% more. So on $1 million home, if Craig gets you 2% more, that's an extra $20,000 in your pocket. There's 20,000 reasons why you should want to list your home with Craig Proctor versus the average agent. Okay, now, days in the market. Because you get to pick and choose, you got lots of sellers coming to you now, you're choosing to work with the most motivated, the most sincere sellers that will do what you say. They take your advice. Their homes will not only sell closer to the asking price, they're going to sell faster. So my listings sell in less than 30 days. The real estate board average is 60 days. So I've demonstrated that you're going to sell your home for on average $20,000 more with me in about half the time. So we help you find these statistics. And I know some of you right now might be saying, well, I don't have those kind of stats. We can leverage off your brokerage stats, or through their franchise, your franchise stats. Now, obviously, we're not going to use a statistic that makes you look bad, right? Like if you say, well, the real estate board average is 30 days to get a home sold and my average is 45. No, we're not going to do that. We're looking for statistics that make you look good, either yours, your brokerage, your franchise. So do you see all the building blocks I have here in my listing presentation? In the beginning, we have the discovery. Okay, what questions do I need to ask the seller so I can determine what's important to them? I want to learn in the first 5 minutes how to sell them. Not guess, not just babble on about what I think is important or what I think they care about. We've all made that mistake, right? Talking about ourselves, talking about something they don't even care about, and then realize like you're all excited about this thing you're talking about, and then you realize halfway through the presentation, they're not interested in that at all. Why wouldn't we find out what they want in the beginning? Here's where I learned to do this. In high school, I dated a girl who had an older sister, and her boyfriend worked at Pitney Bowes. And he was a very successful salesperson. I was sitting down having a beer with him one day. It's like I'm looking up to this guy because he's older than me. He's got this nice car. And I'm like, well, what do you do? He goes, well, basically, here's what Pitney Bowes trains us to do. I think he was selling like high-speed copiers back in the day. He says, we go into a business and we ask them what they like about their copier and what they don't like about their copier. And the business owner tells us all the things they like about their existing copier and all the things they don't like about their copier. And he goes, we just simply repeat back, here's what our copier does. And we repeat all the stuff they like, and we talk about how the new copier addresses all the things they don't like about their old copier. And the business owner at the end of it goes, oh my God, your copier sounds perfect. I'm like, I'm going to use that. That makes sense, right? Because that's not what I did when I first got into real estate. I'd be talking about what I think is important, right? I didn't care or identify what personality type they were. It's like, they might have been a very detailed person. I wasn't bringing the details. When at the end they said, I got to think about it. I'm like, what do you have to think about, right? I would get adversarial and I would leave their home and I would think, what's wrong with those people? And they probably thought the same thing about me. What's wrong with this Craig Proctor guy? And I realized you can win the battle but lose the war. You can win the argument, but they're not going to list their house with you. So here's what you learn. And the best salespeople know this, right? You're a bit of a chameleon. You know that. You kind of mirror people, right? If they talk quickly, you talk a little quick. If they are a bit more laid back, you're laid back. The best salespeople do this naturally, but there's science to this. So you should book a call with me, guys. You should book a call. Again, if you want to type that in, somebody, it's proctormeeting.com. No space, proctormeeting.com. Go to my Acuity Day Timer. It's $0. If you found this helpful, imagine us jumping on and having a conversation specifically about you and your business. Costs you $0 to do this. But you better act quickly because these spots are very limited. There'll be a lot of demand. Thousands of agents will watch this because here's what I'm going to do. Not only do people watch this live, this is a presentation right now. Do you think I did a good presentation? Do you think I know how to present benefits to you? Do you think I could teach you how to be a better presenter? Well, this is how we're going to do it. You know how you're watching me right now on social media? This is how you're going to reach the buyers and sellers in your marketplace. You probably noticed you can't get them on the phone, right? It used to be that you would generate leads or you would buy leads, and then you would call a gazillion leads to get a few people on the phone. Well, now they're not answering the phone. And the reason you were calling the leads to try to get them on the phone is so you could book an appointment, right? So you could tell them how good you were. Well, you don't need to be at the kitchen table to tell them what makes you different and better, just like I did it right now. I'm not sitting at your kitchen table. Right? I just gave you a pretty awesome presentation, if I don't mind saying so, but you can do this. You see, what I said earlier is true. The decision on who the realtor is going to be is not made at the kitchen table anymore. That decision is made online with your online presence. Realtors, people I don't know, are going to watch this. And when they watch it, Facebook is going to pixel them. Facebook knows who they are. Now, I can take this presentation, I could push this out to 300,000 agents that have watched my prior presentations. So they start to see my stuff over and over. How many of you don't know Craig Proctor? Maybe you're hearing me from the first time. Let me know. That's an interesting little survey there. How many of you have heard of me? Yes, you've heard of me. Or no, you haven't. You're here for the very first time. So we want to do both things with video. I want to teach you how to present super valuable information to buyers and sellers. And once they fall into your marketing, fall into it, they start watching your stuff, I'm going to show you how to serve up your content very inexpensively, because people live in a bubble. And in their world, we want them to see you everywhere they go. Now, we may agree that prospects are not answering their phone, they're not answering it, but you will be effectively inside their phone, on their news feed, on YouTube. So what we're doing right now will be edited, it'll be diced and sliced, and this will be repurposed. It'll be on my private group, but it'll also be on YouTube, on LinkedIn. So this will be everywhere. I create the content once. So why don't we do this with you? Why don't we come up with some really great content? Not that like we think is great, but the buyer and sellers in your marketplace would find it really helpful. And they think you're really smart, right? And they start to see you all the time. So what have you accomplished? Number one, they know who you are. It's hard for them to do business with you if they don't know who you are. The biggest battle you're fighting is obscurity. Number one, they know who you are. Number two, they like you. They trust you. You've got credibility. And some of them are going to call you. Okay, so your call to action wouldn't be driving them to a landing page or 18 steps. Your call to action would be this. Hey, if you want to get more information, give me a call. Okay, my name is Craig Proctor. Here's my number. My cell number is blah, blah, blah. And when you call that number, it'll be me answering it. I'm happy to help you out. So and then you're going to make your offer. What's your offer going to be? And your offer is going to be, would you like to get information on not only what your house is worth, but most importantly, what you're going to net in your pocket? See, that's different, right? How many of you would agree the most important number for the seller is what they're going to net in their pocket? All your competitors are offering a free CMA, or you can find out what the homes down the street sold for. Let's face it, the seller prospect can get that information on their own. And if the seller or the buyer can get the information on the phone without you, without a salesperson, guess what? That's exactly what they're going to do. How many of you have noticed that some of your tried and true offers, like a free CMA, a free evaluation, that's working less and less and less and less because there's public websites where buyers and sellers know to go to where they can get that information. Here's another thing you could offer. Not only could you offer to go through a net sheet showing them all of the associated expenses involved with selling their home, but you could share with them inexpensive tips, things that they could do inexpensively or for free that would help them sell their home for $10,000 more. You do this anyway, right? If you were at their house and you look at their home, you'd say, hey, we need to clean the carpets, neutralize this paint, do a bit of landscaping, stage the furniture. We want to show you what to say to get the appointment. So that would be your offer. So what's the formula? We have a great presentation like we're doing here. And then you notice how I made an offer, right? I said, if you're interested in booking a time with me to talk, go to proctormeeting.com. And then I talked about the benefit that you would receive, the benefit you would derive by going there, by doing that thing. So we have to have a call to action, right? Make an offer and then tell them what to do. What to do is to call you. That's what you want. You don't want people going to landing pages, putting in fake information, or you got to call them 100 times to reach them. The call to action is call me. And when you call, I'll be here on the other side. I'll be the one answering the phone. They feel like they know you now. Some of you feel like you know me a little better today, right? That's what we're going to accomplish. So book the call so we can get started. Let's work on a marketing strategy that actually works. If you're tired of paying these coaches that were never successful as real estate agents, let's face it, if you can spell the word coach, you could be a coach. There's gazillions of them. Okay, everybody says they're a coach, but hardly any of them made millions of dollars. How many of them were the number one RE/MAX agent in the world or anything close? I've created more millionaire agents than any other coach, trainer, or guru out there. Find out why. Book the call. It's absolutely free. Now, like this page. Before you go, do me a huge favor. Like the page. Give me a thumbs up. You can also share this if you found this helpful. You can share this with other agents that you believe that this message would help. One more thing I want to offer you. How many of you would like to be part of my private Facebook group? Okay, let me know right now in the comments. Yes, just type in yes if you'd like to be part of my private Facebook group. Just type in yes. And it costs $0 to be in my private group. We've got about 7,000 agents, top agents, mostly using the Craig Proctor system. So if you'd like to meet with other top agents that are successfully doing the things that we talked about today, you should be part of the private group. So just put in yes, yes, I want an invitation for the private group, and someone on my team will follow up with you. So how did you like this? I hope you found this extremely helpful. I want to thank you so much for being here today. You can tell I enjoy this. I get passionate about this. In fact, a lot of times when I was doing my presentation, I would only get like halfway through the presentation and the seller would be like, stop, we're good. We want to list with you. You're obviously passionate about what you do. That's what I want to help you do. Speak with conviction. Be passionate about what you do because you really believe in it, right? The first sale that every salesperson must make is to themselves. Thank you so much for watching this. This is Real Estate Coach Craig Proctor. Book your call with me right now, and we'll see you on the other side. Take care and have a great day. Hi, this is Craig Proctor. Hey, I really hope you enjoyed that video. And listen, I've got a lot more information for you to help you grow your real estate business. You see, several times a week, I record new videos and I load them onto this YouTube channel. What I'd like you to do, if you'd like to access them, are two important things, and both are totally free. Number one is I'd like you to subscribe to this channel. You're going to see a little subscribe button for you to click on. And if you don't already have an account with YouTube, it's free for you to set it up. It's really easy, it's free, but you've got to subscribe to this channel. And the most important thing is to ring the little bell right next to the subscribe button. And that's going to let you know every time I load new money-making videos to help you grow your real estate business. So make sure you subscribe right now, you ring the little bell, and we'll see you on the next video.